Some of my all-time favorite games are in the $10 to $20 price range because most of the unique and content-packed indie games fall within that price category. It also seems to be the sweet spot on how much I would prefer to spend on a game. Sure, you have those $60 AAA games that are developed by massive developer teams, but in all honesty, it's those indie games that are under $20 that really stick with you. We did a lot of research to find these games, and as always, we try to focus on some titles that you may not have heard of or know about. There will undoubtedly be games that we miss, so be sure to share your favorite Steam games under $20 in the comments below. And with that being said, here is our list for the best Steam games that you can get right now under $20. Scrap Mechanic is a game that I covered a few years ago, and I had a lot to say about the survival mode in the game, and most of it not so good. Well, since making that video, I revisited the game, and the survival mode has improved a lot and has come a long way. Although the game is still in early access and is needing some more content, this game is really unlike any other. Scrap Mechanic is a multiplayer or single-player game where you have both creative and survival modes where you build cars, machines, and tools to help you expand. Building your first car from scratch and working on building your base or creating farms is extremely satisfying, and if you can get a friend or two to play with, this game is one you can dump hours and hours into. They are still updating it to this day, and I see a very bright future for the game. We do have some guides on the channel that may be able to help you out when getting started. If you are into unique survival game experiences, I highly recommend getting Scrap Mechanic, or at least keeping an eye on it for when more content is added.
Paint the Town Red is a voxel-based fighting game with over-the-top violence and a lot of replayability. The game has so much content and new things to do that you can get a ton of hours out of this game. The main game has a bunch of different scenarios. These scenarios are areas such as a biker bar or a pirate hideout that you can walk around and explore as you please. As soon as you hurt somebody, the entire map will erupt into a massive brawl, and your job is to eliminate everyone. Each map has fun music and a bunch of little secrets to discover. These scenarios are fun on their own, but then you can add modifiers on top and play them however you'd like. You can do fun stuff such as a zero gravity mod and even a super hot modifier. Some of the modifier combos are insanely fun to experiment with. Besides that, there's also a large sandbox map to walk around and do whatever you want. There's also an arena mode that has both endless fights or level-based fights. Then, the game has a huge map-making community. Some people make entire maps that have stories to them, and it's awesome to see how creative some people are. These player-made maps can give the game many more hours of enjoyment. Lastly, the game has an entire roguelike built into it. This game mode, called Beneath, lets you choose a class and explore Doom-like levels while defeating enemies. Any one of these parts could make the game worth it, but if you're a fan of physics games like this, all of these things combined make the game definitely worth playing.
Midden Folks is one of those games that doesn't look like it would be fun, but it absolutely is. It is a game where you need to find a certain number of people or objects in areas that can be either small or large. The game has a ton of areas to look around in and find stuff, and every area is very unique. The game gives you a ton of stuff to look for, and they will also give you a hint as to where they might be located in the world. There might be a banana, and the game tells you that a couple of monkeys are looking at the banana. It's your job to look around the world for a bunch of monkeys so you can find it. There are so many things to find, and it's a lot of fun if you enjoy searching games. It's like a Where's Waldo book if you ever read one of those when you were a kid. The entire game is hand-drawn, and the noises, wherever you click, were voice-acted by people. That means the car noises are people, the animal noises are people. It's definitely worth looking into if it interests you, because it definitely is worth the money if you want to buy it.
Phasmophobia was and still is a game that changed horror games and set up a new standard for suspense and atmospheric horror elements. Phasmophobia sets you, and if you play with friends, your group, as basically the team that goes in to investigate homes and areas before the ghost or spirits get taken care of by ghost hunter teams. You have to set up your gear and use the information that you have to figure out what ghost or spirit you're dealing with. During this time of investigation, there are things called the hunts, in which the ghosts will go into a kill mode sort and hunt you all down if you are still within the building. The game really plays off of teamwork because everyone needs to play their part, whether that be setting up the gear, trying to talk to the spirit, monitoring everyone's insanity readings, or being the literal bait for the ghost. I still get chills playing this game because it's the lack of intrusive and obnoxious jump scares that make the game terrifying. Sometimes you'll catch a glimpse of the ghost here and there, or all of a sudden the doors will lock and in that case you know you need to hide or you will die. This game checks all the boxes and is being updated continually, and of course is an excellent game to buy for under $20.
Baba Is You is an interestingly named puzzle game where you use text blocks to manipulate the world. I'm not going to attempt to explain the mechanics of the game since that would bore people too much and I'd probably butcher it, but basically you can use words to add attributes to the items. Certain blocks will make your character clip through walls or make every block in the world turn into something else. You can even use these blocks to control different items based on what modifiers you use. You need to avoid hazards by removing the bad attributes or find special ways to move items. The game actually encourages you to exploit and break the mechanics. Some levels are only solvable by some really obscure solutions, so if you do get this game, then expect to need a walkthrough a few times. Baba Is You is an insanely creative game which has some really intuitive puzzles. Any fan of puzzle games or logic type games is going to love this one.
Black Mesa, if you didn't know, is a full recreation of the original Half-Life. Not only does it live up to its original, but it even surpasses it in every way. This game was worked on for over 10 years before it was released, and it wasn't done by Valve. It was a separate team entirely, and Valve liked the recreation so much that they actually let them monetize the game. The game itself is actually incredible, by the way. The weapons feel satisfying to shoot, the enemies are a decent challenge, and the world just looks amazing. Everything about this remake is worth all the money you put into it. It doesn't matter if you ever played the original, it feels like an entirely new game while staying true to the original. There aren't any new levels added. It is almost a full exact remake of the original. There's a new system within the game that lets you play modded servers similar to Gmod, but not many people are playing those. The game is totally worth the investment and it's hands down one of the best remakes out there. If the game looks fun, you will probably enjoy playing it.
The Forest is a game that the Cuphead crew played together along with some friends a few years back, and it still holds as one of our favorite games and memories of all time. The Forest offers us a way to play with such a unique and story-driven game together, and you don't really get that a lot for under $20. The game starts with you crashing on a mysterious island, and you are on the search for your son. You soon find out that you aren't alone on the island, and there are mutants, cannibals, and seriously deformed creatures all around you. I don't want to spoil it, but there's so much to this game that will blow your mind. I still remember the absolute terror that would set in when all we had was a small little hut and it was nighttime, and you hear the sounds of the wind in the forest around you. There's also cave systems, clues, and mysteries surrounding the island, and honestly too much to say about the game because it holds such a special title for us. I could sit here and talk about the Forest for hours and hours, but honestly, we recommend buying it and getting a few friends to play with because this is a game you won't forget.
Incryption is an incredibly unique card game with some light horror elements that blends card gameplay with escape room games and even pixel RPGs. Now, I'm a person who doesn't really enjoy card games, but Incryption is one that really drew me in. At first, I was very unsure of the game, and I actually almost refunded it. But after I got the hang of the mechanics, I realized that I really love the whole style. The setting and mysteries involved are blended perfectly with the roguelike gameplay. The main concept of the card game is sacrificing your cards to place more powerful cards. The goal is to weigh your opponent's scales down by causing enough damage to them. At the start of each round, you draw basic squirrel cards which you can sacrifice, giving you 1 blood. Any card that costs 1 blood can then be placed down. The game will slowly get more complicated as you go on. It adds mechanics as well as insane ways to make your cards more powerful. There's even a dedicated roguelike mode built in called Casey's Mod, and that can give you a ton of replayability. Overall, Incryption is one of the most interesting games I've played in a while. Even if you have no interest in card games, I promise you this one is still worth checking out.
Cuphead is a game that has a mentality of being an extremely hard game. Yes, it might be a difficult game, but look at the reviews. It's overwhelmingly positive on Steam. You can't argue with that. We've played the game through multiple times, and it still gets better every time we play it. People might discourage you from playing it, but take it from us. It is one of the best difficult games out there. If you look at something like the Dark Souls series, a lot of people have quit saying that it's a difficult game. It's not a hard game, you just need to learn how to play it and have patience. Cuphead is definitely one of those games that take a lot of practice to get good at. If you don't know, Cuphead is a boss rush game. You basically have to defeat a bunch of enemies for the devil, or else your soul will be his forever. You need to defeat a ton of bosses, and it is in the old style of 1950s cartoons. It's extremely unique, and it's worth every penny. It definitely is difficult, but if you like challenging yourself, then this game is totally worth purchasing. You can even play with a friend, but only through couch co-op or Steam's remote play together system. We hope you found this video helpful, and let us know down in the comments what your favorite game on this list is. Also, let us know what games you enjoy that are under $20, because we can't possibly cover every single good one in this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and also check out our gaming podcast. We also have a Discord server if you'd like to talk to us or even let us know any video or podcast ideas for the future. All links are in the description, and thanks for watching.